So how's it going, guys? This is Ryo Murata, photographer based in Tokyo. So I rarely do videos regarding bags, because typically when I find a great bag, I basically use it for an extended period of time. So there's not much videos regarding on that. And a long time ago, I made a video on the Manfrotto's MA2 Fast backpack, which I still use even today. And however, I'm guessing that the majority of people who shoots with either digital or with film cameras have two bags, one backpack and one shoulder bag. And if I'm wrong, sorry, but that's just me. But backpack wise, I have the Manfrotto bag. Shoulder bag wise, I have been hitting this wall of unable to find that, perfect bag. And ever since my first shoulder bag, which was the Peak Design shoulder bag V1 10-liter, which the fastener broke down within a couple of months, that pissed me off, and I after that used a Hakuba's bag as an intermediate backup, but that wasn't perfect either because it didn't fit much. And then up until recently, PGYTech, which originally was, if I'm right, an accessory camera manufacturer making accessories, started releasing their own brand of lineup called the Wongo series, if I'm right. And that have been picking up pace, especially in Japan. A lot of photographers have been starting to use the Wongo series bag from PGYTech due to the fact that it's like almost half the price of Peak Design's offerings, while it has a lot of beneficial, like what I call functionalities. And the backpacks being really famous here actually in Japan. And I thought they also had their sort of like shorter lineup of bags, so I thought why not just try it. And after a couple of months, I have to admit that it is a great bag, and I thought it would be nice to mention on my channel. Not being sponsored by any company or any entity at all. This is going to be my biased, subjective view of the bag. And FYI for your information, this bag is the 10-liter bag that I purchased with my hard-earned cash, is meant for 35mm either digital camera or film cameras, and unfortunately it will not fit medium format film cameras. I mean, there might be that possibilities of you carrying a Holga or maybe a Makina Plausible that might fit, but in most cases this is actually meant for 35mm system. Just keep that in mind. And like I said, this is a 10-liter shoulder bag. I typically carry, let's say, my X-T5 with the Voigtlander 35mm f1.2, which is a super compact lens that still fits in here. And also I sometimes bring the X-T5 with the 18 to 55mm kit lens that a lot of Fujifilm users use. That still actually fits in this bag perfectly fine, and you can also stick in 2 or 3 more lenses as you wish, but in most cases I only carry 1 or 2 lenses. So, and for what you call as a reference for professional shooters, you can also stick the X-T5 with the largest lenses that I currently own is the 16 to 55mm f2.8. That actually still fits in this bag perfectly fine, like from top down, so you won't have any issues regarding on that. And if you have any kind of lens smaller than the 16 to 55mm f2.8, you won't have any troubles using this bag. And for the film side, my largest film camera for the 35mm is going to be the Nikon F3, which is, although it's heavy, it's actually small. That actually fits into the bag perfectly fine with the 50mm f1.8 AIS lens, which is most of the time my sort of basic setup for the 35mm film cameras. And I basically still have space on the left side and the right side. And when I'm basically shooting with the film cameras on the 35mm side, I also need to carry a sort of a video camera. So on the left side, I sometimes stick in a DJI Osmo Action 4 that I currently use with batteries, chargers, and mobile batteries, and all those camera peripherals. And on the right side, most of the time this is unchanged, but I have an umbrella just in case. I don't trust the what I call the weather forecast here, because it sometimes rain here spontaneously. I always carry an umbrella when I'm going out to shoot, and also some kind of protein bar, because in most cases I'm sort of into that zone of just shooting photos and I basically forget to eat, which freaks my parents. But I basically have some kind of protein bar or some kind of food in there or snack in there just in case I run out or if my stomach's like empty. So similar to Peak Design's sort of like shoulder bags, and they're like majority of their bags, they have this kind of like origami type of folding system, similar to same for the PGYTech's One Go shoulder bag. It has this like functionality where you can basically fold up the dividers, and you can basically stick in a small lens at the bottom, and you can put another lens on top. So if you have two compact prime lenses, you can do that, or you can basically add different types of equipments at the bottom and the top to separate from being like scratched together or damaged, you know. So that's actually something great to see in this bag. There's like three areas, major significant areas I want to point out, which is how large this bag like opens. And basically the zipper itself actually opens to the bottom, which is unlike what you see from the Peak Design offerings. And what you get from that is that when you like open wide open, it actually opens way down, and you can basically access your equipments, or you can access your accessories much easier than the Peak Designs or any kind of alternative bag out there. And because it like opens up way out, I mean, there was that moment where I thought my equipment might fall out, you know, but there's actually a sort of like a protector in the front of the bag actually, which basically prevents the equipment from falling out. And also there's sort of like a hook right here where you can basically hook into a portion of the bag, and it basically prevents it from opening further. So it basically opens around here, and you can basically adjust that. So that's actually great to see. And like I said, when you open up the bag, there's actually the main compartment, which I just mentioned. You can stick in your camera, my umbrella, my mobile batteries and stuff like that, or action cameras and stuff like that. And on the sort of like the outer part right here, actually, there's like two slots. And this is actually unique because like when I'm shooting with a film camera, I shoot with digital. So sometimes I use an action camera. And if you shoot with video, you 100% need ND filters to cut down the sunlight. And on the left side of this sort of like what you call flap right here, or like a pocket right here that's elastic, I stick in the what you call the DJI Osmo Actions what you call ND filters in here. I have it right here on the left side, and on the right side there's another exact same size pocket, which I basically slide in an ND filter if I'm shooting with a digital camera on, let's say, my X-T5 with the 18 to 55mm. I also have an ND filter, a 58mm filter that I use. And I basically, if I'm shooting outside and when I'm shooting indoors, if I'm shooting at galleries and stuff like that, I don't need that ND filter, so I take it off and just slide it in here. And because it's sort of like a really soft like fabric, it won't scratch the surface of the filters. So that's actually how I use it. So on the outer side, there's this zipper which you can stick in like thin items. So in my case, I have this like Hakubas. I said it in my previous video, my best purchase for Black Friday, wet cleaning cloth. I have it in here actually. You can put microcloths in here, something that's not too thick, and because it's a zipper and it's basically really smooth, you won't have any trouble accessing that. And also what's also unique about this bag is the outer portion within the bag right here. There's a sort of like a semi-hard shell case at the top, and in this case, in this compartment, what I have is typically you can stick in batteries in here if you shoot with a digital camera, and there's like 4 slots. You can stick in 4 batteries. I use the Fujifilm system, so I use the MPW235 batteries, and I basically carry 2 batteries because I have to shoot video for you guys. I have that in here, and also there's 2 additional remaining slots, so I can basically stick in film stocks like a medium format film in here, or some random stuff in here. And on the sort of like an inner portion of right here, there's another elastic band type of pocket where I can basically put additional accessories. Right now I have like extra like cleaning wipes in here and Band-Aid if I injure myself. So yeah, that's like something to note about it. And because it's sort of like a semi-hard shell case area, you can put some fragile items in here so it won't get any like, you know, scratches, it won't get like any damages. And for something random actually. My sister, who works as a graphic designer, actually did a design for Nestle Japan, and they did sort of like a Kitkat actually. Nestle Kitkat holiday season limited edition, made only in Japan actually. And she works at a design company, and great to see her designing that. So yeah, happy holidays. Went off the topic, but okay, so I completely forgot that this like semi-hard case, there's this magnetic flap which basically opens up, and within this like 4 sections, there's like 2 coins that comes in with. Actually, it's not in focus. Okay, it's in focus now. So this coin, the front side is red, the back side is green. So this basically sort of gives you an indication that if you're shooting with digital, and if the majority of people who shoot with digital know that your battery's gonna die within a day or so. So if you use up the batteries, you can flip this coin to red, and it basically magnetically attaches to the inner part of that, what I call 4 sections, and it gives you an idea that that battery has died and you don't have to pick it up anymore. And while the green indicates that the battery is fully charged. So that's actually great to see in this bag. So and on the outer side of the sort of like compartment, there's this small like area where you can basically stick in my case, like business cards, breath refreshers, and also some kind of like a, what do I have in here? I have some kind of good luck charm in here from Jindaiji, shrine that I recently visited. So if you're like introducing yourself to someone, maybe a client, or maybe your friends, or maybe a relative, you have a place for your business cards. And obviously there's like 2 side pockets on the side for water bottles or maybe umbrellas and stuff like that. And on each side there's this sort of like, there's like this lanyard actually, so for preventing stuff from falling out actually. So that's actually great to see. Or if you have like a gimbal in here, and if you don't want people to like take it, you know, you can basically lock it in there. So that's something great to see actually. And I want to end this video, typically a typical shoulder bag ends right here, but this is actually what blew my mind, is that a typical 10-liter shoulder bag, you can, if you look at the Peak Designs offerings or any kind of alternatives, there's is a slot where you can stick in a 13-inch laptop. But the worst thing about 10-liter bags is that when you stick in the laptop, it's basically within the main compartment. So, and what's bad about the main compartment is that because this surface area, the width of the surface area is so narrow, that if you use a Peak Designs or maybe their Messenger's bag actually, what's problematic about that is when you just want your laptop and you don't need your camera, you basically have to open up that, you know, flap to remove that, you know, laptop. And that's stressful for me because I have to show everyone that I have a camera in here along with a laptop. And what they did with this bag, which I think no other manufacturer done, is they actually allocated another dedicated space just for the laptop. So what blows my mind is that this actually will go into the cons of the bag, but because the main compartment itself doesn't go in a straight line, the zipper is actually in a curved type of manner and basically curves into the main compartment and curves out and in. If you put a laptop compartment right in the main compartment, you will have trouble removing it. But because they actually sort of like stuck in the laptop compartment in a different section right here, what you get is you get a straight zipper and you can basically remove your laptop like that. And what's great about this is that when you're finished, you just stick it in here, you just put it in, and you can just leave the studio. And that actually blew my mind because I never seen anything like this. And backpacks, it's similar to the functionality of a backpack, especially the Manfrotto size. I mean, there's companies that stick in the laptop from top into the main compartment. it's okay, but the Manfrottos, most of them, you slide it from the side, which in my case, that is much more efficient because I don't have to access the main compartment. And same for this PGYTech bag. Although it is a small 10-liter bag, if I just need my laptop, I can just unzip, remove it, and when I'm done, drop it in here, zip it in, I'm done, kinda. And it's like, the less stress there is, I mean, I become much more productive. This is just my style of doing it. And for your reference right now, as of 2023, I currently have the base model MacBook Air. This is 2020, the first generation M1 MacBook. Base model, 256 gigabytes, 8 gigabytes RAM, and it actually fits in perfectly. And same for the M2 MacBook Airs. The M2 actually, this will actually fit the M2 13-inch, just the 13-inch MacBook Air. The 14-inch, this won't fit. I can vouch on it because it is quite tight, and the 14-inch, you guys probably know, is much more thicker and you will have problems sticking it into this bag, unfortunately. So people who are actually looking for a bag to actually transport just their laptop, this is also a great offering actually, because it is rather spacious. And even if you're not a photographer, or even if you're just a typical, I guess, worker who works remote with just one laptop, maybe just a MacBook Air, this is actually a great option available. Basically, sort of like my overview of this bag. That's actually one of the main reasons why I purchased this bag. I wanted a dedicated section to just put in my laptop, sort of like a briefcase style, but at the same time the main compartment's like separate, so I can sort of like, if I'm just editing, I can just pull out my laptop. If I'm just shooting, I just can remove the camera equipment. And I just don't like that Peak Design system where you have to open everything to just access your laptop and your camera. I mean, to the people around you, I just don't like that system, unfortunately. And yeah, that's actually one of the reasons I purchased this bag, and I've been using this for work for the past couple of months or so, and I don't have any regrets because the price is almost less than half of the Peak Design's offerings, and they sometimes do sales, so you can get a discount actually. So yeah, that's basically it. In addition to that, because this video is not being sponsored or anything, I can say whatever I want. The negatives of this bag, there's actually 3 that I would like to mention, and hopefully PGYTech watches my video so they can put that into reference and making the Gen 2 even better. So yeah, this will probably be much more like helpful for people who are thinking of purchasing this bag because I've tested it. So the one negative that I saw, the major negative in my opinion, is that the main compartments, unlike Peak Designs where it's sort of like streamlined, the zipper is streamlined, this zipper is like angular, as in curvature, meaning that it curves in and it curves out. And what's great and what's bad about this is that you get this, what's great is it gives a sort of like a streamlined appearance, which is really good. But when you're actually opening this bag, you have to keep in mind the tension of where you're pulling that zippers, because if you pull it down, it actually gets stuck actually. So you have to like pull out and then you have to pull in to fully sort of like expose the inner compartment of the main compartment. And this might be negative for a lot of people because when you're actually starting out, you can't fully smoothly open the bag because I get sort of like a sticky, like it gets sort of like stuck actually. So that might be stressful for some people. And when you get used to it, I mean, you won't have that much problems opening it, but still, I still have this sort of like snagginess going on when I'm trying to open the bag. That's actually one negative that I'm actually wanted to mention. And because the what do you call the zipper itself is like a fully sealed type of zipper, it uses a YKK there's the seamless design, so it prevents water from going into the bag. The zipper itself is thicker than the average zipper, so that might be another reason why it's like really sort of like not too smooth, but a little bit sort of like, yeah, there's this snagginess going on, so it kind of gets stuck sometimes. So that's actually one negative that I wanted to point out. It would be nice if they can make it sort of like much more smoother in Gen 2. And another negative that I wanted to mention is this sort of like that separate sort of like outer, what you call shell, hard shell like area. And because there's only one magnet which basically locks this area in, I can basically sort of like open from the side like this, and this kind of gets me a little bit stressful because when I'm sort of like opening the bag, my hand sometimes gets stuck in between this sort of like outer hard shell compartment, and it kind of opens wide. And I kind of wish this sort of like made it so that it fully closes the hard shell area, because this just one magnet can actually, I mean, there's this sort of like seesaw effect going on. So I can basically, it kind of, it's hard to show you guys, but it kind of, you can like access from the side without like having the magnetic like open. So that's actually one of the negatives I wanted to mention. And it would be nice if they could make this like fully sealed instead of having a little bit of gap going on the side. So that's actually something that I wanted to mention. And last but not least is actually the strap itself. Nothing bad about it. It's like a seatbelt strap, so it's like really smooth. It's like an airline's like, what you call it, when you sit on an airline's like seat, you know, that smoothness when you're like fastening that. It's like that. It's like thin, but it's not flimsy, but it's durable. But at the same time, because it's thin and sort of like a little bit flimsy in a way, and also the sort of like main strap is actually thinner than I expected. So if you're like carrying a laptop and if you're carrying a camera at the same time, this sort of like shoulder pad is, I think, too thin in my opinion. It would have been nice if they made this 2-3 times thicker actually. So it kind of and because it's a shoulder bag, it means that all the tension is sort of like on top of this area of this cushion. So if they make it like 2-3 times sort of like more, how should I say, shock resistant, I think this bag would have been better. I mean, they can actually innovate that area. And because, how should I say, there's no sort of like what you call like a rubber type of texture like the Peak Designs like strap. When you flip it over, there's some kind of silicone or some kind of rubberized like texture to prevent it from like slipping and stuff like that. This actually does not have that functionality. There's no silicone rubber. It's just a flat, it's like the seatbelt like material. It's like a smooth glide, like Astro Glide. But I wish they added that, you know, texture, rubberized texture, so it kind of prevents it from like sort of like moving around and stuff like that. But because it's a shoulder bag, there might be people who's like slinging it to the side to like access and stuff like that. So I guess they did it in that reason. But yeah, that's basically it on the negatives. Hopefully PGYTech watches this video and makes those like innovations and revisions in their Gen 2, because it is already a great bag in my opinion. And yeah, if they can fix that, I'll be really happy actually. So yeah, that's basically it on my sort of like overview and the negatives of this bag. And I thought it would be nice to like mention it on my channel because it's like really beneficial. And there might be people out there who are thinking of bringing their MacBook Air 13-inch laptop, but they don't have that information of what bag to get. And this is basically the only bag that has that functionality of having a separate laptop compartment while also carrying camera gear. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys found it informative. If you have any questions, I'm happy to reply. And yeah, that's basically it. We will see you next time. Peace out.